Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are always told you guys keep picking on the Democrats. Well, it's not hard when they keep doing these things over and over again and saying to us that we're the ones who are wrong. I find it fascinating how the accusations of the Democrats, for example, that is a foul mouth, that a president shouldn't swear, or that he is a bully, or that the way he doesn't respect, Zelensky, and the list goes on of the accusations. And then recently, what you get is Democrats themselves swearing nonstop like drunken sailors. The comments that were focused on the president are probably, I would hear, more likely to hear it on a college campus than I would from a congressperson. And on top of it all, you get together and you say, you know what? I'm not proud to be American. Hmm. Remember, folks, this is one of the two parties you can vote for. Welcome back, everybody, to the Rent Network. I'm David Solomon. He is Stuart Brisgell. We do this every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, noon Eastern. Although we are tired of talking about these same stupid topics, these politicians keep giving us the fodder to go after them when we talk about politics, modern life, and the absurdities that we deal with every single day. It's our opinion. Yes, we do rant about it. We do give you our comments, but we do base it on some facts. So please sit back and enjoy and listen. Share your comments, please, because we've gotten some very, 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 very interesting remarks. So, Stuart, for me, in the last few days, I'm amazed by what Democrats do. You have in Texas, you have the rewriting of districts that Governor Abbott wants to do, and the Democrats are screaming and yelling from California to New York. He has no right to do it, and if he does it, we're doing it. Now, it's very interesting because Democrats, as we've spoken about in their last rant, they do it. So suddenly, this is a bad Republican move. Everything the Republicans do is just bad. So why not? But I'm wondering if there's not a line that the Democrats have continued to cross over, Stuart, where they need to be told, could you please be the adults in the room once and for all? Hey, Stuart?
Oh, boy. I need y'all to listen to me now. You hear? Or how about, let's get some good ones in here. Trump's a piece of beep. Career criminals. This is the vernacular of a lady. I'm not sexist, but this is a vernacular of a so-called lady who's an adult, who sits as a U.S. representative in the 30th Congressional District for the last 2 years. She is a Potty-Mouth attorney, a member of the Texas Bar. She graduated from the University of Houston Law Center, and this woman literally talks like making a truck driver blush. The quotes that this lady has that are in circulation are, the best way to hold people down is make sure they're not educated. I can't accept being silent. It's a face of injustice. She's a TikTok queen. Obama made me feel like I could fly. To Russiagate? To a brick wall? I don't really care if you're MAGA, if you're a general Republican or otherwise, I do not want to work with you. And I definitely disagree. Now, this is not the language and vernacular of someone that should be in government. No different than her wonderful, colorful language about redistricting in the state of Texas, which, just so that you know, has existed in California, New York, and Illinois, as we discussed earlier in the week. But what's more atrocious with the types of people they are, they're inciting violence. You need to beat them. You need to hurt them. You need to punch them. Little Debbie, you need to step on their necks and kill them. The rhetoric on the left is out of control, destroying the fabric of, I'm going to call, humanity. Are there people on the right that say inappropriate things? Yes. Are they the majority? No. Are they the guys who are sitting in Congress? More than them not. Are they a little more politically correct? Absolutely. Do they hold themselves to the highest regard? Yes. You know, the government, the president of the United States, you're supposed to put on your best shirt, your best tie. You're meeting the president of the United States of America. You're supposed to say, sir. You're supposed to say, ma'am. You're supposed to be a politically correct person. When you are politically incorrect and you're a TikTok maven, it's amazing that you still can remain in power. I don't know why Congress hasn't sanctioned her. I don't know why they haven't pulled the plug on her political campaign. But anyone that talks like this, who's 44 years old, who talks worse than my teenage kids, I'm embarrassed. And this is what's on the world's. No wonder Putin doesn't give a crap about the United States of America, because they're imploding. We're imploding at the seams. We're following to the wasteland just like Canada did, just like France is, just like England has. We're being blown away because you got people saying, y'all got to come listen to me, and calling the president of the United States Timu Hitler. I haven't quite figured out what Timu Hitler is. But when you start using Nazism with governments that are nowhere near this type, and you don't use it on the types of people that are actually linked to this party, it's insane. And you got the people, again, going on about free Palestine, defund the police. These are the same sorts of people that are consuming the Democratic Party. Where is my 1960 Kennedy Democrats? Where are they? Schiff? Well, looks like he's going the way of the dodo birds with mortgage fraud. Kind of ironic. You know, who's left? Nancy Pelosi? No, it's a nothing here. My husband does all the investing, who sifted America for tens of millions, maybe hundreds of millions of dollars. Politics has got turned on its head, and there's a donkey going hee-haw, hee-haw, hee-haw. David?
Wow, Stuart, what a finish on that one. Look, I think that the absurdity has to be really called out. Let's go back to Texas for just a second. When do you redistrict? Well, when you've got movement of population, you need to redraw lines. This is part and parcel, Stuart, of representation in government, correct? Yep. Texas has exploded in population. Florida has exploded in population. Places like New York have not, but you have always to rewrite districts simply because, let's be real, you have new population. And so therefore, it's an opportunity to rewrite districts. Canada, for example, every election we add a bunch more ridings because that's just the reality. That's reality. As you grow, you redraw. Sorry if the party in power is redrawing it and a little bit more in their favor. This isn't something new. This is not a new game. It's just because if you're not the one leading it, you get to whine and cry about it. But that's not the only issue. That you could throw away. But when Representative Yolanda Jones, a Texas state representative, a Democrat, compares this to the Holocaust, now you got to ask yourself, what the hell are you smoking, lady? Like, what are you talking? And then she apologizes. And, like, I love when they do this. First, I'm going to say something absolutely nuts and absurd. I'm going to offend a shit ton of people. And then I'm going to apologize. At least she apologized, where Jasmine Crockett doesn't even bother apologizing, but that's neither here nor there. But that, ladies and gentlemen, is the mindset and the pride. They ran away. They literally broke the rules of the state legislature in Texas, not the first time, apparently. And Governor Abbott said, you guys broke the law. I'm coming to arrest you. To it, they reacted, what are you doing? You have no right. Did you read the rules, people, when you took your oath of office? Did you understand what you had to uphold? Did anybody in your party or in your team say to you, you can't really act this way? But that's what happens. This mass hysteria over childish reaction continues to happen. Let me go on. Elizabeth Warren, Stewart's favorite indigenous senator, decided herself how that Donald Trump is off his rails and that Mamdani leads the right path for the United States. I'm paraphrasing her statement, which is frightening to believe that her and Bernie and AOC and the rest of these lunatics believe, that Mamdani is the way America should go. Let me give you an idea of Mamdani's mindset. In an interview, he decided that campus protest leader Mahmoud, he supports Mahmoud Khalil, that it's not a real protest, it's just hysteria. And you're sitting here, Stuart, and you're asking yourself, what's wrong? What is wrong with Americans? Or what's wrong with the Democrats that don't see it what it is? But you got your Mamdanis who wants to put in place grocery stores controlled by government. Now, we've talked about this, and if you've heard this before, I apologize. But the reality is that is Soviet style, as Stuart likes to call it.
Ohio. Yeah, Ohio.
Economy. And it doesn't, not only does it not work, and it's been proven that it doesn't work, it's what's next. I'll control the rent, I'll control the grocery prices. Mamdani wants to control more and more of your life. Now, socialism, folks, doesn't promote productivity. Socialism destroys capitalism.
Yep.
Socialism is about laziness. It's been proven. And the United States isn't built in, the foundation of it is not that. So let's go and say that the Democrats are continuing to say he is the beacon, he is where we should be heading. And I'll leave you with this last point, ladies and gentlemen. It's hard for me to call myself a proud Canadian. I'm totally embarrassed by my government. I am totally embarrassed by multiple levels of government. I do carry a Canadian passport. I am Canadian by birth. And I have to tell you that my life in Canada till recently has been very, very good. But I also have a second passport. And I'm not running around telling people I'm more proud of that one over the other. Except if I'm Congresswoman Delia Ramirez of Illinois, who's decided that she's more proud to be Guatemalan than American. Now, she's born in the United States, ladies and gentlemen. She's not born in Guatemala. Her parents are Guatemalan. And she described herself as both Chapina and American, as from both Guatemala and Chicago. She's the daughter of Guatemalan immigrants and an American citizen by birthright. And so she is upset because illegal immigration, we should take off the word illegal and just make it everything immigration. But the statement she made that was supported by the squad and supported by other Democrats is to say, I'm prouder to be somebody else, some other than an American. This is the representative you have in government. This is the frightening path. Now, Stuart, Marjorie Taylor Greene to me is the lunatic you described on the right. Yep. Her ideas, her ideologies, even the Republicans are going, okay, you're off the rails. And Matt Gaetz and a few others, they're gone. They're gone. And yes, the party has a few extremists. I'm not going to say that they don't. But the Democrats more and more every day are pushing forward these ideologies, statements that are completely flawed. And to stand there, as you talked about Jasmine Crockett, who stands up and swears like a drunken sailor, and has decided to call the most powerful person in the world a fucking piece of shit in public, and she gets a roaring applause, and she thinks she's going to be the 2028 nominee. She is going to lead the party. This is frightening. Because you know what you end up doing, Stuart? You end up creating a group of Gen Zs who, by the way, there is a podcast right now floating around of a bunch of Gen Zs sitting around a table wondering what to do with the Jewish problem. And when you put situations like that, when you have your Democratic leaders talking the way they are, like a bunch of what, Stuart? Nazis, as you put it? When you have this question of the Jewish problem, and you go after the president, what have they become? What have you created? Because if you think this path is good, Stuart, I think this path is so frightening that the future is not very exciting. I'm sorry.
That's exactly what we said in the green room. This is a shit show. All right, guys, I'm going to tell you, I got not much more to add other than disappointment and insanity. And if we don't get a grip on either one, the world is not pretty. David, wrap it.